Good afternoon, everyone. Terrasoft Technology would like to welcome you to our DTech Apps webinar, Forms Automation for ServiceNow, Fast and Easy. Joining us today from DTech Apps, we have Adam Moskoff, Senior Solutions Consultant. And at this time, I'd like to hand the floor over to our speaker. Adam, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brooke. Good afternoon, or depending on your time zone, good morning. Welcome. Let me start off just going through the deck. We're going to present the solution that we'll be demoing later today, which is, as Brooke mentioned, our forms automation and digital signature capabilities, particularly targeting the public sector, as well as certain well-regulated industries. I'm Adam Moskoff. I'm a senior solutions consultant with Discover Technologies. To get started, the primary build pieces of this solution we're going to be looking at right now are, of course, inevitably ServiceNow, the Now platform, where the applications which everyone in the public sector now is using live, as well as our DocIntegrator solution, which is also built via the ServiceNow store on the ServiceNow platform. What this means, of course, is that our applications can be bought via the ServiceNow store. If you have controls, certain controlled instances, for example, FedRAMP requirements, DoD impact level requirements, FISMA requirements, we inherit those controls because we are part of the platform. We are not a standalone application. Additionally, that gives us the ability to integrate seamlessly with all ServiceNow capabilities, whether it's something like incident problem change or project and portfolio, or even custom applications built on the Now platform. We are a native application. And one of our applications, which we're going to be focusing on today, is called DocIntegrator. And that was used to build the solution that we're going to be demonstrating today. And that comes to the question of why forms automation. So getting ahead of myself just a little bit, one of our customers asked us, hey, can you guys help with a problem? And this problem is being the ability to automate and fill out the routing of forms. Every government agency has a ton of forms. As we'll see on the next slide, I think it's up to like 23,000 forms exist. And these are omnipresent and everywhere. Everybody has to deal with it, right? These are essential. We need audit trails. We need approvals. We need to keep these records. And a lot of people spend an awful lot of time filling these out over and over and over again. So the ability to automate something, to have them filled out in advance, to have them routed to the necessary people to audit them, to approve them, to sign them is key. Particularly now we have something called the 21st Century Integrated Digital Experience Act, or the IDEA, and that was signed into law. And the big takeaway from that one is it's mandating all executive branch agencies to focus on digitizing all of their services and forms. So there is a compelling use case for forms automation, and the ability to build this and make this native to ServiceNow, which is so popular inside the public sector, is very significant. Just for some quick numbers to noodle over, we put together some numbers when we were investigating, should we focus on doing this? And we found out that approximately 11.4 billion hours of paperwork are generated annually. And you look at that, multiply that by the average salary per hour of government employees, including contractors, you get a really large number. So there is a compelling need to automate this so that government employees can spend more time doing the important work and less time just filling out papers and filling out forms. Let's make it easier for the people who have to deal with this in the trenches. So what we came up with as a solution is a solution which will be able to take existing government PDFs. This is important. We're not creating new PDFs. We're not printing to PDF. We are able to ingest existing PDFs, the official ones, and then we are able to populate them with data. So the data we populate them from is, anything ServiceNow can access. This potentially includes things like PIV and CAC data as needed with security constraints understood. It allows you to take Word documents and create templates out of them and then be able to push, data into them. We have customers who are automating the release of RFPs and RFQs based on having a Word document, filling in the data, and then releasing it that way. So what we wanted to do was make this easy, however. We wanted an easy way, sort of a wizard-driven approach, where you can say, here's the form I need to do, here's the data which we need to capture, and let me automatically insert that data Let me route it to the people who need to, do their thing, whether it's a simple approval, whether it's a digital signature, whether it's even potentially manually filling something out on an otherwise completed form. And we needed this to be easy. So one of the capabilities we built in allows for inline editing, where instead of having to download things or leave ServiceNow and go into SharePoint, for example, the ability to edit these files inside ServiceNow, inside your ServiceNow experience, which you'll see later, just to make this super easy for everybody was at the top of our minds. And everything now stays inside ServiceNow, so you have a full audit trail. You have visibility. You can track from the beginning to the end everything going on, from when is it generated based on what kind of request, right? Who has to approve it? Who has to sign it? So we're going to be going through that today, looking at what we're doing. How does it work? Users can put in a request, or this request can be driven by, say, someone in HR as part of an onboarding example. Or this could be driven by a project manager who needs to create a weekly report and have that approved and signed. So users are able to automate creating documents, PDFs, Words, PowerPoints, assign reviewers, assign approvers, assign digital people who need to assign it digitally. And we can drive it in three primary ways. Now, when I say three primary ways, there's a near infinite number of ways we can kick this off. But most likely, the three ways you're going to want to drive this is one, via the catalog. And that's going to be an end user saying, hey, I need this form, right? It could be something to update 401k information. It could be HR related. It could be a simple request. So we go to the service catalog, they make a request, and it initiates the form automation. The second process is agent driven. An agent or a help desk person or a case manager in HR is in a record and they need to generate forms and have it go through a process. They can click a simple button in their form, which will generate these and automatically send it out, route it to whoever needs to sign it and approve it, and keep all of that captured inside the application. And then the third way, which we'll be showing today, is automated initiation. So for example, if I have an HR case, which we're going to be showing today, and we need to get somebody network access because they just got a promotion perhaps, and they need new access. When that case goes from draft to ready, then this will automatically create the form. And what we're doing is a simple system access request form. It'll generate it. It'll route it to the person who needs to sign it first. It'll route it to the supervisor. It'll go through all of the the supervisor, the information owner, the ESO, the security manager, rinse and repeat till it gets all those approvals captured, all the signatures in line, and it's an all automated process. And that whole thing is then made visible. Just to be clear, why are we doing this out of HR instead of, say, a change ticket? It's because in regulated spaces, particularly the public sector, oftentimes you're going to say, we need to have this system access request built out up front. We need it signed. We need this audit trail. We need to prove that this person has access. And oftentimes, especially if you have good HR capabilities, HR is going to run with running this form, getting it signed. And then when they finish their case, the HR case for it, they can automatically spin up and create a change ticket with a form appended to the help desk who can then grant the access. So that's just for, trying to make it realistic as needed. So as I was talking about the three different types, right? For a catalog request, very simple. The end user can go into the ServiceNow portal, whether it's the service portal or the employee service center, whatever they prefer. They can find a form they need, right? Maybe it's system access request, and they can order it just like they were ordering a new laptop or opening up a ticket with support. And then it simply drives the creation of this, it routes it automatically, and they get their response and their hopefully new permissions. The next one, as I mentioned, was the agent request. So as you can see in the top right, there's a generate button. In this case, let's say we're in an HR case and the case manager needs to build out a certain form and have it approved. They can select that with required documents and hit the generate button. And then that will automatically build out any and all documents. Now, keep in mind, we're showing a simple systems access request form today, but this is designed from the ground up to allow you to automate 10, 15, 20 different forms at the same time. We can build out, if you're onboarding someone and you need to have 7 forms filled out, this can generate all 7 at the same time. It can route them to the right people. It's not limited to one form. It's not one and done. It is designed to be flexible and to automate everything. And more importantly, to be easy enough that you can actually do it and do it easily. And then the last thing which we're showing today is going to be this automated request initiation. And that's going to be when something happens, a trigger is pulled, whether it's a case is made ready, as in it becomes active out of draft state, or perhaps when a project hits a Friday, right? Because we need a form built every Friday, whatever it could be, we automate that approach, leveraging ServiceNow's platform capabilities, and that will trigger what we're doing. The last thing I want to talk about before we go into the demo is digital signatures. So there, particularly in the public sector and in well-regulated industries, there are a lot of digital signatures which need to be done. And these are encrypted signatures done via PIV or CAC or outside of the public sector, other multi-factor authentication. And generally, historically, they've been difficult. With our DocIntegrator capabilities, we have enabled our end users, our customers, to be able to digitally sign inside the ServiceNow experience. Potentially, they can do it inline like we'll see today. And if that doesn't work for them, maybe they're an on-prem instance, for example, or there's other restrictions they have to deal with, they can open a document with one click into their local desktop, digitally sign it there and close it without saving, without uploading. It's an automatic approach. So we have spent a lot of time, and we have customers using this, focusing on getting a very easy to use digital signature capability. And now we're going to go into actually showing this capability. So I'm going to start in HR. And the case I'm going to show you all is, in this case, we have an HR case open. Adam, who coincidentally is me, and I'm logged in as a case manager, just so you know, is Rob Joy. He's my case manager. And Adam has been put in for promotion. Adam needs enhanced network access. So Rob is the person running the ticket. And so if we look at this, this is a fairly standard HR case. We have just standard checklist of what needs to be done. What's the description? What are the capabilities? And this is all pretty much out of the box, except for a few things I'll show you later. So Rob, in this case, is part of the draft. We see it's in a draft state. He selects the access requested, the type of system access request form he wants generated, and then he changes the state to ready. He could just hit ready for work. And just simply by updating the state of this ticket to the ready state, will kick off a process behind the scenes, which automates everything. So from Rob's perspective, right, we now have our case, we have our ticket, we need to build out this system access request, and we need to get it fulfilled. So if we come down a little bit, we can see right here that we have built out a brand new network access request for Adam automatically. This is pre-filled out. We'll see it shortly. And additionally, we're going to see this HR track document signatures right here built out automatically. So from the HR case, Rob is now able to track this document that is needed for me to get my access, right? We see order 1, user signature. That would be Adam, right? Then it goes to my supervisor, then it goes to the information owner, then the ESO. We're going to go through all these approaches. I promise it won't be too tedious. Well, at least I hope it won't be too tedious, but I really want to show you the beginning to the end of the capabilities. So as Adam does his signature, then it's going to go to the supervisor, and we're going to go through that process, just to see what it looks like. And we'll be able to see that all of that process is now tracked inside the HR case. So not only are we going to end up with a completed document in this HR case, right here. This will be real-time updated, by the way, by signatures, and that's our DocIntegrator capability. We'll also have the full audit trail of who did what and when. So I'm going to now jump over to Adam, right? The first one is Adam digital signature. And so I'm switching browsers right now. And as a very quick aside, Adam is going to get, like the real me, an email which looks something like this. You've been assigned a task. Please click in here. In this case, it will take me to this portal we just put together, and I just click on my requirements, user signature. Now with this one, this is our inline portal, right? We never have to leave the ServiceNow experience. And I have my instructions very clearly written out on the right. This is part of the automation process, right? Please come in, verify all your information. We can see I don't know if you can see depending on the resolution of your screens, but we can see that all this information was automatically built out by me. And all I need to do is digitally sign. Now, right now I'm showing inline signatures. I can type my name. I can just hit create automatically. It puts it in. And, I've verified everything is good. Assignment completed. I mark it complete. And it takes me back to that same portal I was before, but now you can see it's empty. My job is finished here, right? I've done my thing. It disappears out of my queue and I'm done. And now I'm going to switch yet to another browser. Now I'm logged in as, or at least I should be. There we go. I'm logged in as Joaria, my supervisor. And Joaria, again, will get that exact same email we saw before saying, hey, Joaria, you've got a task. And she can come to this portal or she can click on the email to take her straight in there. And she'll have her own portal view, right, called supervisor signature with her instructions on the right side. And then she's able to come in real time. As you can see, she can see that Adam signed this right here. And then her job right here is to sign the supervisor signature field, right? Her information's already filled out. She can sign her name, hit go, and she marks it as finished. So simple, easy, automated form fill out, no problem. Now, I apologize, but this is where we're going to be jumping through just a few more hoops, just so I can walk you all through the whole process. The next person is going to be David Shilkret. David Shilkret is the information owner. This person owns the system in question. And once the supervisor's done, I mean, this is probably familiar to most of you. There's a whole order that things need to be verified and signed. And so David Shilkret will then get that information, click on it, and again, we'll see inline without downloading things. You can see right here in the ServiceNow experience, Adam has signed it and so has Joaria. And now it's time for David Shilkret to sign. And then he marks it as finished. And we can see right here already that it's going to Catherine Johnson next. So we're going to jump over and become Catherine Johnson. And keep in mind, me becoming Catherine Johnson's part of this demo. In production level instances, of course, everybody is going to be logged in as themselves, and there isn't any impersonation capability. This is a nice demo capability that ServiceNow provides. But each person in turn is now going to be able to go through, verify all the work, do their digital signature, right? Sign it as needed, and then hit I'm done. And all of this is being captured. So I'm going to take a quick moment to jump back to Rob. And as you can see, if we look at this list now, you can see that the HR person who's responsible for getting this done can now see that these 4 tasks are complete and that the ball right now is at Mun Lee's court and he's got to sign it next. So if I come back to Mun and I impersonate him, we're gonna go through from beginning to end and just do this properly. And it's important information from an end user perspective, right? From Mun's perspective, all he does is get an email, he clicks on a link, it takes him right into the document, and all he has to do is verify all the information, right? Do his digital signature. Mun, it's really hard to write with a mouse, just to be clear, right? And Mun's finished. So again, not to overemphasize this, but it's supposed to be simple. It's all in line. You never leave the ServiceNow experience. And then we do our final last user, which is the actual IT agent and or fulfiller. This is important. This could be, oops, if I could type, it would help. So this would be the final 2 steps, which are the IT agent who validates everything and signs everything. Because of the power of ServiceNow, we could have the IT agent all sign it here. It's going to be captured by HR, and then it could generate a ticket automatically inside the help desk, which shows that it's already been validated by the help desk to automate this whole process. So as Mark Miller, right, Mark's going to just verify the form is correct, everything is filled out possible, as needed, and then sign it in right here, right? We're going to sign it as Mark Miller. We're going to be done. If we need to revalidate this, we can automate that approach too, right? You can see that he gets the next task, which is to revalidate it. It's usually the same user twice, it doesn't have to be. But at long last, Mark has come in, signed the document twice, and we've finished it, right? So all of the people who needed to sign have signed. They've given their acknowledgement that they've done it, that their job is finished. So when we come back to Rob Joy, and we look at this list, we now have a fully capable audit trail of creating this form, making sure that all our I's were dotted and our T's were crossed, that all the signatures were done by whom, that they're marked as complete. If we come back 6 months later and say, why did we give this Adam guy network access again? Well, the answer is because it was all approved. It was all approved internally. But more importantly, what I want to emphasize is from the end user perspective, you simply get an email, you click on a link, and it takes you to ServiceNow. You look at your document, you digitally sign it, and you mark it as finished. And that's it. It's that easy. You don't need 2 weeks of training. It's all done inline, minus for a few people who would check everything and then click a button and have it open up inside Adobe Acrobat Reader or Adobe Acrobat Pro or something like that if you're in an on-prem instance. But even then, it'll open it automatically where all you have to do is then sign it and close it. So it makes it a very easy, very straightforward process designed for the enterprise. And to take it to the next level, once this is finished, the HR person can simply mark this as completed, and that can actually trigger the creation of that change ticket inside ServiceNow ITSM, so that the help desk then goes forward. They have the system access request form attached, and they can just go forward and grant that access automatically. It's that simple. So let's see. That is the demo. So now it's time if you guys have any questions and answers. I want to say now is the time to ask them. Me and several other panelists are able to answer them at our convenience. I also want to say there's a QR code here where if you want to scan it, that will actually tell you how to reach out to us if you're interested in exploring these forms automation capabilities or any of our other capabilities we bring. Thank you. Okay, so I see a few questions, so there was a question about, are we doing e-signatures in lieu of digital signatures just for the demo? Yes. So for this demo, I set it up with e-signatures rather than digital signatures. Depending on, I didn't want to go into the weeds, but depending on your agency or organization, we could either have digital signatures built in, or we could have a single button which would open it up into a application on your desktop where you can digitally sign it there based upon your security posture and whether or not you're able to reach out to the cloud. And hopefully that answered that question. The next question, yes. So that I think also answers the next question, which is about CACs. So depending on your security posture, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud, whether you have access to an AWS key store, you can use your CAC either by opening it up in something like Adobe or DocuSign, signing it there with your CAC, or you'd potentially be able to do it online via the same viewer you saw today, using your CAC if we were able to do the configuration based upon your security posture. And we'd be happy to discuss that in infinite detail if you'd like to follow up with us afterwards, anybody. All right, the next one's from Denise. Is it possible to digitally sign other documents not in a very specific order, as in some forms have various areas that are independent? Absolutely. So we have the ability to do it in parallel, serially, however you want to do it. It could just be, let's send this form out to 4 people at the same time, and they can sign it in whatever order they want. And even then, once they're done, maybe then send it to a 5th if it's infinitely flexible for that. And let me know if that answered your question, Denise. All right, more CAC questions, which I think I covered, but again, let me emphasize, if you want to go into the weeds with CACs and how that would work, we have solutions, we have real solutions we can demo. They're being used right now in the DoD and IC, and we'd love to follow up with you afterwards. So the answer is yes, we can work with CACs and PIVs for the civilian folks. All right, so a question from Maria. Can an acting official sign the documents if they are out of the office? Rob, you know better than me whether the mobile capability with our inline digital signatures will allow that. I'm not sure yet.
Adam, I read that question differently. It's asking if the acting individual, not the person who's out of the office.
I see. So
you can reassign the task.
That's right. So yes, so if somebody is out of the office, they can have their tasks get automatically reassigned to who's covering for them, who can do their digital signatures in place. Thank you, Rob. Let's see, may have missed it. Yes, so this one was about the PDFs. If you noticed that in the PDF, when it was built out, that it was yellow. So we do honor the locking mechanisms of PDFs. So we can have it set up. So if the PDF is designed that when, say, Adam, that first person signs the document, everything from that signature gets locked. That can be kept. That is inherent to the tool. That is allowed. And then when the supervisor signs, their section gets locked. So the answer is yes, that will keep anybody from changing the document after it's been signed by somebody else. And I hope that answered that question, but please feel free to ask it again if I missed something. Okay, so this is an interesting one. Somebody is asking about multiple instances of ServiceNow. They have multiple instances. How can I send an approval request to a different instance to get an approval digital signature to come back? So there are a lot of different ways to do that. Once again, this is going to be dependent on your security posture. So hypothetically, email could actually be used to attach a document, to send it over, to trigger a workflow, which then creates the digital signature requirement in that instance or in multiple instances. And when finished, email sends it back, which then will, append that digitally signed form into the process. So ServiceNow is very flexible. I'm assuming that you have multiple instances, so they're not allowed to touch to each other, however. So if they're on different networks, if you have to sneaker net it, I'm afraid that it's going to be very difficult to get information between two instances, which are obviously segregated from each other. However, if they're just multiple instances in the same network space, we could connect automatically either via email or through some other, magic bus to make sure that this can happen between instances, which we've done with some of our other tools as well. All right, next question. Can you kick off tasks for each signature? Let's say that someone has to take action before signing. Could that be assigned as a task for them to complete before the signature can be completed? So funny you should mention that. One of our products is called Tasker. And Tasker is a enterprise level tasking solution or work management solution, which can connect directly into this so that not only can you send out tasks, but you can have part of that task be digitally signed it when completed. So the answer is yes, including a tasking solution, which allows for private tasking, which allows for visibility into everything. And so that would be our DocIntegrator, which you're seeing, as well as Tasker solution combined will provide you exactly those capabilities. So Matt is asking if the digital signature capability being demoed, is it available outside of HR module or limited to it? No, that digital signature capability is available to everything. Custom applications, ITSM, project and portfolio, CSM, you name it. If it's in ServiceNow, this digital signature capability works. More CAC questions. Is it based on ITSM, HRSD, or both? No, this is an anonymous question. These are applications that we have built and sell on the ServiceNow store. So they do not require you to own any ServiceNow application in particular. They just require you to have a ServiceNow instance. So if you have a ServiceNow instance with ITSM, we'll work there. If you have a ServiceNow instance with only HR, we'll work there. If you have a ServiceNow instance with like 15 different applications, we'll work there too. We just need ServiceNow, but we are an independent app which doesn't have dependencies on anything except for the ServiceNow platform itself. And then Umberto has asked, does this support digital cert signatures? And the answer is yes. But again, it's that same caveat before. The inline signatures will work based on certain requirements. And otherwise, we allow you to do digital cert signatures via your CAC PIV, whatever multi-factor authentication you use, using something like Adobe Acrobat or DocuSign. More questions on CACs or PIVs, which I think I answered. Oh, yes. So this one, is the completed form exportable in the standard format? Yes, it actually is the standard format. So we are not changing your original government PDFs. We're not changing your Microsoft Word documents or your PowerPoints. The document itself is in the standard format. It's just filled out for you by the software. So we're not sort of printing to PDF. We're literally inserting the data into the official government forms, which you can then do with whatever you see fit. Let's see, are the field to data mappings automated, or does each field have to be manually mapped? That's from Sean. That's a great question. So they do need to be mapped, but we have a wizard-driven approach for this, where you're able to, for example, ingest a PDF. You can map every field in that PDF to the PDF and use that as a template, and then map that into any ServiceNow table space. So it's there is manual mapping, but it's designed for a simple BA to be able to go, sorry, that's the wrong term. It's designed for a BA to simply go in and be able to do a direct one-to-one map. And if you want to get sophisticated, you can put dot walking in there as well. So Rodney, so Rodney was asking if we're going to expand on the SharePoint online document feature, which is a great question. Our DocIntegrator solution, as I mentioned, allows us to integrate with SharePoint. So one of the advantages of leveraging this solution is that you can keep all of your documents inside SharePoint throughout this whole process, most of this process, but you never have to go into SharePoint. You never leave the ServiceNow experience. As you could see with that file, when I was showing the HR capability, you see a file in there. It looks like an attachment. In fact, that document's in SharePoint. It means people can edit it in SharePoint, and you're seeing real-time updates. So you have a singular experience in ServiceNow, but you're able to take advantage of everything that SharePoint brings to the table, which would things like rolling back to previous versions, role-based access controls, all the wonderful parts of SharePoint, but without ever having to worry about SharePoint sprawl. We manage where it goes, right? So it simplifies the process. So Adim is asking, is the fillable PDF in your demo based on a table within ServiceNow? It's one or more tables. So we are able to pull data from a variety, everything from the sysuser table to custom tables, to application tables, and we can map all of those into the PDFs. I think I mentioned that above when asked about how do we map fields into documents. Okay, so an anonymous question, what is the difference between e-signatures and digital signature in this context? Great question. So e-signatures are literally you write your name or print your name or type your name, and it appends it as a signature in a signature block. And it's recorded that you yourself do it, but that's about the limit. Digital signatures in this context are encrypted signatures based on certain files, which can be keyed directly to you. So CACs and PIVs, which are federal IDs, which have the ability to do encrypted signatures, we could leverage those. In the commercial world, you could use other multi-factor authentication, but digital signatures in this case means there's crypto behind the signature, so you can actually verify that it was in fact Adam Moskoff signing that, not somebody pretending to be Adam Moskoff, because you have that key store you can compare it against. Hope that answered your question. And then this one is all agents then will be needing access to submit any new accounts. I'm not sure I'm following. I'm assuming in the case of HR, in this case, it's a type of ticket. So you put in a request, and whichever agents are fulfilling that request would simply make sure the request runs from A to Z, goes from the beginning to the end. And when they've captured the documentation, when the forms are filled out and signed and authorized, the agent will simply have probably automatically a ticket created, and help desk will create those new accounts or do what needs to be done. I hope I answered that or understood and answered that question. Matt has a question. Also want to confirm if you're using solely ServiceNow's native digital signature capabilities or integrating with any third-party digital signature software. So we are not using ServiceNow's native signature capabilities. We are providing this as a solution ourselves. We are that third party, Matt. So Kevin has a great question. Does it keep XFA data from official DD 2875 or modify the original PDF in any way? The answer is no. I'm sorry, yes, no. It keeps all the XFA data, and it does not modify the original PDF, so it stays in official government form. That is assuming, of course, that form is a functional modern form. I'm sorry, John, you wanted to say something?
Just so you know, there's the questions in the Q&A, and you've probably got 50 more in the chat window. So I just want to make sure that we're addressing what we can address on the demo, and we can address the other questions offline in the response when we send the demonstration recording out to all the attendees.
Wow, there's an awful lot of questions. So you want me to focus on the chat, John, you think?
Some of them are answered in both Q&A and chat. So if you want to skip from Q&A over to chat for a minute and answer a few there, so then give everyone some time back. Up to you. But the 365 SharePoint, Kevin asked, I believe, we are currently connected to A365 Army SharePoint, and we've been approved for DoD SharePoint access. You all know that. If you want to scroll up, Adam, and scroll through, there's a few good questions.
Yeah, I see some good ones. Thanks, John.
Yep.
I was staring at, the Q&A section, not the chat section. So no Jennifer has a great question. Could a form be sent to a supervisor who doesn't have a ServiceNow account? clarifying sent to a supervisor for signature. So this is sort of a nuanced answer. The supervisor, anybody who needs to sign it, would need a DocIntegrator license, but they do not need any other ServiceNow application licenses. So the supervisor could simply be given our forms automation license. They could go in, they could sign it. They don't need to have, say, a project or a help desk or any other ServiceNow license, just one of ours. But they will need one of ours in order to take advantage of our digital signature capabilities. Let's see. Can the workflow have a mixture of signature types, some some generic? Yes, that can be worked out depending on your requirements. Let's see. So Aaron was asking if we actually see the Adobe form being opened, signed, and saved automatically. Aaron, if you want to follow up with us with info@dtechapps.com, I would be more than happy to set up a demo and walk you through that process and show it to you. And mahalo back at you, Teddy. I wish I was in Hawaii right now. It's snowing outside, or snowy outside. Let's see. Anything else, John, which you flagged, which I should be answering? Kevin, great question. Does this work for the DoD 365 SharePoint or just commercial SharePoint? We have it running in DoD 365. And for those of you who are on-prem, we'll work also with on-prem capabilities with our DocIntegrator solution. But yes, this will work with a DoD 365 SharePoint. Anything else I should probably? There's a 508 compliance question. ServiceNow, being the platform, is required for 508 compliance. We are an application built on that. So are the documents encrypted, especially if it contains PII data? And can you set escalations or reminders to any signee who has not signed a document? So yes, and yes, and yes. The documents can be encrypted because we are built to leverage. This is another great advantage to leveraging SharePoint. You can set up SharePoint so that certain libraries are encrypted. So both data in motion and data at rest can be encrypted. And then you open it up with a key and you're able to see it and sign it. So we are able to leverage the SharePoint capabilities, which would allow for encryption as that becomes necessary, Maria. And then, yes, we can absolutely set escalations and reminders as needed. Make them defaults and change them. Okay, Randy has a great question. I manage more than 450 official forms for our agency, created in the Adobe Experience Manager. How are forms uploaded into ServiceNow? So Randy, just to be clear, ServiceNow has a managed document section in ServiceNow. So you take your real form, your actual official form, you upload it into ServiceNow into their managed documents section, where you publish it, and then our DocGenerator capability, which is part of the solution we were talking about today, allows you to start mapping fields to that. When you need to update it, you update it in ServiceNow via the managed documents, and the mappings stay the same unless something changes, in which case you make a quick change. So we are leveraging ServiceNow's native document management capabilities for holding these templates, as we call them, the official forms, and our software is building the infrastructure around them and doing the population of fields into them. Hopefully that answered your question. So you do not need SharePoint for this to work, period. SharePoint gives you certain enhancements like the encryption we were asked about, or the ability to roll back. It's better for document management. But for these inline digital signatures, for inserting data into the forms, for all the basic capabilities, you do not need SharePoint. Here's a good one from Denise, which is, can you lock down who can see your documents per task? Like if you have items that are acquisition sensitive. Yeah, so Denise, in this use case, the only people who can see these documents are the people who need to see them. So I can't see other people's signatures. I can only see the document when it's my turn to sign it. If I needed to do something to a document and then later somebody else put in some PII or some secret information, I would not be able to go back and see that unless granted access. So you're able to keep that data private as needed. Basically, only the people who need to see it can see it with this solution. And then a follow-up from Denise is, can you easily pull metrics and reports on what has been signed? Yes, so all of this leverages the ServiceNow platform, which means that all the signatures, the approvals, the processes, the times can be very quickly turned into reports, where if you have performance analytics, you can use data over time or data over time. You can do snapshot data, all actionable data. You get the full advantage of the ServiceNow reporting capabilities can be leveraged using this solution. So absolutely. You find it, you right click, you create your report and throw it into a dashboard. It's excellent stuff. I hope that answered your question, Denise. Can we apply the same configuration to Adobe Sign in addition to DocuSign? I'm not sure what that means, but I will say that we could work with either or if you need to use one of those two tools as a, for your digital signatures. So you can use Adobe Sign absolutely inside, you can sign a PDF with that, and our tool will give you one click ability to open up that filled out document inside Adobe, sign it and close it. So
thank you, Adam. And we'd like to thank all of our participants, as well as our speaker, Adam, and our other panelists for being with us today. We hope the information you received during this webinar has been helpful.